Hi, lovely to have you here. Welcome to the Electro Revolution channel. My name is Michael and I'm a car and tech enthusiast. In this episode, we're going on a road trip from Sydney to Melbourne in Victoria. Now, you know, if you've taken a road trip like this before, it's hundreds of kilometres long, over 800 kilometres. Now, similar to the road trip I did last year between Sydney and Phillip Island, which is a little bit longer, this time round, I learnt my lesson. So what I've done that's different to the first road trip I did from Sydney to Phillip Island is I enabled all the fast chargers. And that includes the Tesla 20 stall supercharger system in Goulburn, New South Wales. Now that's the biggest one in the Southern Hemisphere currently. And of course it's got very fast chargers there. So it was the first time I went there with the BYD Seal Premium 2024 model. I knew it would work, but I never tested it before, and you'll see what happens when I'm actually there. And the next stop we went to was the Ampol Tarcutta or Evie charger in Tarcutta at the Ampol service station. And the last charging stop I took just before entering Melbourne was the BP Pulse. Now I did this road trip in late 2025, where I went to the Everything Electric Melbourne EV show. So we also cover the return trip from Melbourne to Sydney, and that'll be in the following episode. Now, one of the differences, of course, between this particular trip and the last trip was I dedicated myself to using the faster chargers, and of course that meant price increases. You'll see that as I summarize those in the table, especially at the end of this first episode. So I really do hope you enjoy this episode. Now this is what we have on the instrument cluster. So as we can see there, yes, it's early morning, 2:16 a.m, but we do have 100% charge. And yeah, I'll zero that trip computer right here. I'll zero both trip A and trip B. So I can then count basically the entire trip, maybe on a trip A, and the stops between charging on trip B. But yeah, quite excited for this next road trip to Melbourne, Victoria. So here I am at 4:21 in the morning. I've arrived at the Tesla Lockyer Street in Goulburn, the Tesla charging systems, and that's what we see there. On my trip A is 167 kilometers I've traveled. It is 4:22 a.m, and what we can see at the station is there's actually nobody here, which is what I would expect, but it is quite a nice station. So let's just go outside and organize the charging session. So what we see here is the Tesla app. And this is where I want it, at Lockyer Street. Now I read this unit as 2B. So I'll say charge here. At 2B. And there we are. It's charging as expected on a BYD Seal Premium Edition. So here we are, the Tesla charging site in Goulburn with the number of chargers all over the place. It's 20 stalls. And this is where I'm charging right here. And now that's all I had to do was basically get into the application and start the charging session. It was actually no problem at all. As you can see, there's my car. So these are all the chargers available. Quite a lot, and it's near the KFC, which of course wouldn't be open now at such an early time in the morning. A bit messy on the side there, but it looks like some sort of truck area. But an excellent charging station. Now, as you can see here, proudly co-funded by the New South Wales government in association with Tesla. Now, what that essentially means is the New South Wales government has contributed a good sum of money to this charging depot. And of course, that has a requirement that Tesla must make it open. And it also would have an SLA. That's a service level agreement that it would have to meet a certain criteria as part of the contract for the New South Wales government. So these are all the charging stations, quite good. And this one here, of course, like I find it actually quite good that they give you air. So you can pump your tyres while you're here, and I think I will do that. But this is also an extended lot for trailers, as you can see there. That's one of the beautiful things about the Seal, is how it looks in the front. Quite a lot of charging stations, quite impressive site. Now this is the charging session that I've actually started. Interesting to see that it's only running at 79 kilowatt. And that really might be because of the percentage that I've got in the car, 74%. That may be a limitation itself of the BYD Seal at this type of percentage. But still, 33 minutes means I can just take a break and have a bit of rest. So as we can see here, it's dropped to 44 kilowatt. Once it's hit really above the 90% mark, it started to really drop. But of course, we've only got 7 minutes left and we're at 4:54 a.m. in the morning. One of the things I would say about this site is it's quite lit up. I remember the old Goulburn Tesla charging site, which is not too far from here. It's got 8 stalls. It's actually quite dark, and that was one of the complaints about that charging area. But this one, as you can see, it's got lights everywhere, which is quite nice. Now I will leave it charging to 100%. And of course the next stop will be the Ampol Foodery in Tarcutta, which of course has the Evie charging system, which is also very fast at 300 kilowatt. If you remember when I was coming back on the trip from Phillip Island, Victoria to Sydney, it's actually that same one I stopped at and received quite a very fast charging speed over 150 kilowatts, I remember. So now what I'll be doing is modifying the trip. So I'll keep trip B as the total between Sydney and Melbourne, and trip A, I'll reset it to my next destination. And there we are. So we can see trip B is 167 and trip A is now 0. So this is our next destination, is the Ampol Foodery in Tarcutta, which is an Evie, EVIE charging system at 350 kilowatts. So I'll get peak performance on the next charge. Now what we're looking at is 2 hours and 7 minutes and just 222 kilometers between here and there. Now where we are now is the Ampol service station in Tarcutta, where the Evie charger is, the EVIE. Now this is the one I visited, if you remember, in the other episodes from Sydney to Phillip Island in Victoria, and on the way back, this is the actual one I went to. This is a 350 kilowatt charging system. So essentially with the premium version of the Seal, we get 150 kilowatts as maximum charge. So what are we looking at here? We're getting at the moment about 79 kilowatt on this particular unit, and the charge is at 70% currently, with a remaining of 31 minutes. Now we'll go look at the EV charger and see what it says. Now this is what the charging system on the EV says. So far I've been connected for 9 minutes and it's ingested almost 16 kilowatts of energy. And of course we see it charging at 81 kilowatts at 71%. So it's not too bad, but I would expect it honestly to be at least 100 or 120. But as we see from previous charges that we've done on the BYD, it does typically lower the speed when it starts to reach the 70 or 80 mark, and it actually gets slower on the 80 mark. But since no one's really here, I might actually charge this to 100%. So this is the Ampol service station, as we see. So it's got nice restrooms and things like that. So yeah, good environment overall. And these are the two charging stations. So as we can see now, it's almost at 100%, charging at 19.2 kilowatts, and it says remaining calculating. And we know what that means is that it's doing the upper leveling of the batteries at this point. So it shouldn't take long now to reach 100%. There we are, fully charged. Please pull out charger. And now what we see on the console is at 100% charge. We've got trip A, which is from the Tesla supercharging site in Goulburn to here in Ampol EV charging Tarcutta. So we can reset this one like so. And so far we've travelled since 2:30 this morning, 386 kilometres. And now we'll go to our next destination, which is the BP Pulse. So that was the end of the first episode. Now to quickly summarise, we visited 2 chargers in this episode. The first one being the Tesla 20 stall supercharging system in Goulburn, and the second one being the EV charging network, which is in Tarcutta at the Ampol service station. Now I'll quickly put up a table right now so you can see basically what I've broken it down to on the first 2 trips. And as we can see there, the first trip cost us basically $26.88. And on the second charging stop, it cost us $35.95. Now, of course, on the third episode, what we'll go through is the BP Pulse. And from the BP Pulse, we reach Melbourne, Victoria. I'll leave that to the next episode. So until then, I hope to see you there. Bye for now.